Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Clues, Cues and Reviews, and today we're looking at an early release of Bleach 681, The End Two Worlds. Or is it meant to be The End of Two Worlds? I don't know. I did this off Manga stream, so just work with me guys. Anyway, typically you always find that I do my reviews UK time around about 6 PM onwards, which is normally midday in the US. Now, because of fasting, which is now thankfully over, I've booked a few days off, namely Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which works out perfect this week to get this done early. This will probably get dropped at 12 on the internet and on YouTube with all the links. So you're probably going to see this if you get up at 6-7 in the morning in the US. Anyway, with Bleach coming to an end, I really wanted to make sure I got this out as soon as, purely because apparently there's only 5 or 6 chapters, and I want to make sure I give it all its effort and do One Piece next when One Piece comes out on a weekly basis. Without further ado, let's get into this review. So the first thing that happens is Renji charges in after back. Now, Ichigo does try to stop him, albeit with words, because he can't get off the floor right now. And he basically tells him, look, don't even bother. And then we see a hand, which is Bax, bit of his hair, and Mr. Zabimaru, the sword is destroyed from the end. And that's pretty much it for the first segment of the actual chapter, because not a lot happens other than the sword getting broken. Now, that's a bit stupid for Renji because he didn't really even know anything about the enemy. And I think that's often the case with Bleach. A lot of our heroes, a lot of the good guys go in there without full strategy, without fully knowing the enemy, and they get their asses kicked. It is a normal thing. That, or they tell the enemy, this is my power, this is how it works, how will you defeat it? It's only one or the other. But yeah, that's a typical thing in Bleach. But yeah, that's point number 1. Point number 2. We get some clarification on the Hashwell situation. So as you remember last time, Hashwell was going in for the final strike when Yuhabak was basically filtering back the power, siphoning back the powers. And we saw that basically Sentinel Gerald Valkyrie was turned into a skeleton pretty much. We didn't really get clarification on Hashwell last time round, but it was safe to assume at that point that he was pretty much dead as well. We find out in this one he's not dead just yet, but he is dying, and he's proud with that. He's happy with that. He's proud that he could help and find his powers to be helpful to Yuha back that they were taken. Strangely, Ishida's weren't, and he said that yours weren't taken because they were of no value, and he was happy with that. But he did say one thing. Look, he goes, look, I'm dying anyway. Would you want me to take your powers, or can I take your wounds? And she's like, no, you're alright. He goes, because we were at each other's throats. At least let me do this for you. And he goes, sometimes it's better to live life without regrets. I guess is probably where he was going with it, because he's talking about the scales. His power. And he's just basically saying, I've been going all in from the beginning to have our friends. And he goes, look, let me heal your wounds so you can take his wounds, basically. So that was kind of cool from Hashwell to kind of do a lot, like a last dying wish, or try to do that last good thing before he does die, I guess. So there is some goodness in him, I guess. Is following his own logic. That probably means something to him. To do something honourable. It's just that I guess he was kind of manipulated by Yuhabak, and his good-natured logic was used against him to do things like this. But anyway, that's point number 2. Point number 3. Rukia finds out about the power, Yuhabak's power. And he's like, what the hell kind of OP power is that? Like we just think it's an OP kind of power. It pretty much is the same thing for her, which is understandable because this is the first hearing of it. It's like you hear in the world of Bleach that people have 7 powers, like Zangetsu, or Zabimaru or some other power. But, you get certain elements like Rukia's is ice, and the petals from Byakuya or Byakuya. You hear about all of this, but you don't really know about people that can do stuff like this with the future. So this is a big thing. Now, how does one defeat that? Don't really know, to be honest. It's interesting. But then Renji, as always, hard-headed, picks up Ichigo. So let's go. Also charging again. He's lost his sword. What can he do now? And basically Rukia berates him for it and basically tells him off, which is right, because he goes, how do you defeat someone without a strategy? Charging in like you've just done and got your sword broken. Well, he goes, how do you defeat someone? You can't. You just go fight. You do what you can. Which is honourable to a certain degree, which is very shonen-like, but again, it's very stupid, because there's no real way to defeat a person. There's no specific strategy to win. There's no clear plan. There's no backup plan. There's no backup plan to the backup plan. There's no backup plan to the backup plan, and so on and so forth. So it isn't exactly the most intelligent thing to do, which is why it gets lectured. Point number 3. Point number 4. Ichigo gets stabbed through the shoulder. And I was like, what the hell was that? And thankfully, it is what a lot of people have been calling for. It was about time they bloody turned up, the lazy scumbags that they are. Tsukishima and Ginjo, and that kid, who's got the computer game rules? I can't remember his name, I apologise. I was going to go look back at it to seem like I knew everything, but in reality you forget when you don't really see someone for so long. But basically, the Fullbringers are back. Well, some of them are back anyway. So Tsukishima stabs him in the shoulder, saying, "Oh, we've come to take your side," and he's like, "You've come to take our side." And then Ginjo's like, "No, we've not come to take your fucking side. We've come to repay a debt." But he says it in a cool way, like he's quite earnest about that specific thing, but he still tries to remain cool the whole time. Now, earlier in the chapter, I didn't specifically mention it because I wanted to mention it now. Rukia struggles to heal Tensei Zangetsu. She can't do it because of the way the future has been written. Tsukishima basically says that crazy power, you probably wouldn't be able to undo it because of how the future's been set, but I can rewrite the past. So he's going to sort them. He writes a past where Zangetsu was never broken, which is possible because of his power. And he just try healing it now. So she does. And it's fixed. And we have hope again. And he goes, and Tsukishima basically says, so our debts are paid then. And you get the whole from Ichigo, which is cool. And that's how the chapter ends. But now we have some questions. Well, I have some questions. I'm sure you do as well. 1. The sword is fixed, and it's meant to be a melding of his powers, right? Black and white sword. I always assumed the black was the Shinigami powers, the white was the Quincy powers, and the horn was the hollow powers, right? So there's a chance that his Quincy and his Soul Reaper powers are back. Shinigami powers, sorry. What does that say about his hollow powers? Because we don't see of it. We just don't. We got told last chapter that the powers were taken. We don't know if they're back. Has Tsukishima written more that he's actually said? So he's gonna say, "Oh yeah, I've done the sword, but I've done something else as well. I'm not going to say." We don't know. Now that he's got his sword back, because potentially he has less power than he originally started with the lack of the horn, how is he gonna beat Yuha back? Now there's a theory out there, or kind of a thought, that maybe by absorbing the hollow powers, Yuha is a type of poison for him. And bearing in mind we've only got 6 chapters left, 5 probably including this one, we need to find out what's going on. I don't want it to be rushed, but the fact that he's gone from not having a sword to his sword again, although it seems rushed, and I'm happy with it. let's just get it on. Let's see what happens. I really need to see this guy use his full potential, because if this is the final battle, with 6 chapters to go, I'd really like to see him use his final power and just go all out, go berserker mode if you have to. Maybe even go into that mode with the hollow where he was basically killing old Queera. Put on a Shinigami suit on top of him, give him a bow and arrow, say go crazy, go do your thing. I'll be cool with that. Somewhat really outlandish for the next 5 chapters. I'll be happy. Anyway, that's my review, that's my thoughts, that's the chapter. It's out early, check it out. Thanks for your patience. See you next time. Don't forget to subscribe.